If you're doing all these classes and you're going to these casting director workshops with the need to get a job or to get picked or to get booked, then you're already dead in the water, because people can smell when you need it.
Why did you work on your first feature film, Mind Games, for free?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't getting paid to do it. I think I had to create my own work. Yeah, if you know, I think if you're getting into the film industry for money, you're getting into it for a very wrong reason. There is not much money in film, especially against, you know, TikTokers and Instagram and all the social media, the Twitch streamers, everything. Film is just not the medium to go in for money. I just loved it. I love storytelling, and I found something I was passionate about, and I had a partner who had a story, and yeah, we dove into it.
And how has that sacrifice, if you want to call it that, working for free, paid off for you?
Oh, it's paid off in so many dividends. You know, it's an investment. You know, the amount of time and money I've spent into my career has, yes, it's been a lot. And people would probably look at me and say, oh, you're just insane. You could have spent all your time learning this skill or that thing and made so much more money or success or blah, 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 right? You know, I mean, when I first started, I spent $5,000 probably of my own money from working at a restaurant, and I got into videography and invested in that. And then, you know, I got into a car accident and I got like 11 grand, and I took 6 of it and made a short film. You know, I mean, I've just done it over and over and over. But with that, there is a return. Not only is the return, the biggest return is the experience and learning and understanding, you know, new things through the experience. But then other returns are more jobs. Through believing in myself and showing I can do it, pushing myself to do a certain role in my own film, or to write a certain script or produce a certain short film, has led me to other jobs.
And it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning, in having a purpose and intention, and that's very important to you. So you said you could have made money doing X, Y, or Z, but it also has to be something that you want to spend your life doing.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, sure, money's great, but yeah, if there's no purpose, I mean, you make all this money, and then what? What are you doing with it? Money is just a tool, right? The story, the film is just a tool. It's just a tool for me to reach an audience and either say something subtly that I want to say, or to give them an experience and to let them, you know, meditate on it and think about their life because of it and how, you know, they might make a decision differently.
Why not just act?
I can't just act. I have this burning thing in me, this thing to write. Why not just write? Well, maybe I could just write. Maybe down the line. I've been really you know, and the thing with acting is there's so many roles that I read for auditions sometimes, and I don't care to do them these days. I'm like, man, what am I feel like I'm 50 years old toward the end of my acting career or something. I'm still young. Why do I feel this way? But it's because a lot of, you know, if I'm pursuing things with a purpose and for that intention, and I don't find purpose in the acting role, well, then that's probably why, you know, or if it's not a challenge or whatever it is. So writing is probably, if there were one thing I would do only, it might be writing.
When did you realize that diversifying your skill set was necessary for continuing to work in this business?
I think once I spent a couple of years just acting, I realized that just acting wasn't going to cut it. You know, I also, that being said, I wasn't a very good actor when I started. You know, I did it as a kid with my dad, and I learned from him, but then I had taken 10 years away from it until I was late teens, early 20s. And yeah, I just, you know, I was living a life as an athlete and, you know, just going to school and living life, and I hadn't really studied the craft. So, you know, if you really dedicate yourself to the craft of acting, if you take the workshops, if you know, really just, you know, study the greats, you know, read the plays, you know, go to, you know, theater shows, you know, see the Broadway actors, those, if you really dive into that world, I think you can just do acting. But for me, I kind of say this sometimes, it's just, I don't know if I should say it, but sometimes I tell myself, well, maybe I don't love acting enough to just do acting. because I just find enjoyment in other things too. You know, I love acting, but I don't know if I could see myself just doing it. I've always been very just all over the place in terms of interests. You know, I had a YouTube channel I thought about starting when I was 19 years old called Hobby of the Month, where I would do a different hobby every month, like a different sport or drawing or different things, and just make videos about it. That's just been my brain since I was young. I've just been interested in everything.
Well, you did your own sort of docu-series though on BMX.
Yep.
Bikers was it in Florida?
Yep.
Okay, so you have done other things. But I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to do other things. And people can get caught up in the life of being an actor and never actually progress. You know, you can, nothing against acting classes and casting director workshops, but you can get caught in this town sort of doing that and not really fully going anywhere. So I think it's great that you want to make your own thing.
Yeah, and the thing about doing that, right, if you're just pursuing that as an actor, here's the thing. It's the mindset thing, right? If you're doing all these classes and you're going to these casting director workshops with the need to get a job or to get picked or to get booked, then you're already dead in the water, because people can smell when you need it. So I think one of the reasons I started producing and writing is because I didn't want to need it. I wanted to just pick myself and say, I don't need anybody to validate me. I'm going to tell the stories I want to tell. And when I started doing that, people started seeing my work and bringing me on. And then you start to see them as a collaborator, not as someone that's above you.
What did Mind Games teach you about writing a feature film?
Mind Games, what did it teach me about writing a feature film? It taught me a lot. I would say, that was the first time I had brought in, that was the first time I had brought someone else on to revise the script that wasn't a writer. For example, there was a lot of military jargon, military uniforms in the script. So I had an acting classmate who was in the military. I think he had done 12 years. I forget what it was. He did halo jumps, high altitude, low opening or something like that. When he was he's kind of I think he was an Army Ranger. He he had a lot of experience. I brought him on the script to give his expertise on to make sure we were accurate with the military stuff. And I think that's very important if you're doing, sometimes people do these movies, whether it's a military movie or, different niche movies like that. And then the people that are in that community are, they say, oh, that's not really accurate, and I just did a skimboarding movie. And what was the first thing I did before I even made the film or did any casting or raised money? The first thing I did was go to skimboarders. And I told them about the idea. And I started hanging out with them, and I started getting into skimboarding a bit more than, I did it as a kid a bit, but I got back into it and just, really just kind of watched them and saw how they talked and what they said and, oh, what trick is that? Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good trick, all right, write that down. And I think I might have made one or two mistakes in the competition scene at the very end of the movie where I think he says the wrong trick. It was supposed to be front side, but he said backside. But in the edit, I don't have the announcer saying the other one, so I had to use it. And I'm like, okay, this one's going to squeak by, But I think Mind Games taught me to really respect the reality of whatever the story is, So the military, the skimboarder, their life. You want these people, when they go watch a movie about what they do, you don't want them to cringe.
At the end of the day, what are some of the biggest lessons you learned from making Mind Games?
From making Mind Games, some of the biggest lessons. Yeah, it's possible. No excuses are valid. When I first made my first ever short film or anything, it was with an iPhone. I did stop motion animation with Legos because I didn't have actors. So from that through Mind Games, we raised a couple bucks. Sure, that was to fly out a couple, fairly known actors that, were worth the money. But you don't need that to make a feature film. You could make a feature film in this room right here with me and you, and we can sit here for 90 minutes on a movie screen together. So it's possible. That's what Mind Games taught me.